All right, today on Tim Time Projects, we're going to look at aligning the oscillator RF and antenna sections. And actually, it looks like there's only two antenna sections to adjust at 3 and 1.4 megahertz, and then for this band up here, they're around 6 megahertz. So what's up? Sorry, 1.4 and 6 megahertz, but we'll worry about that last. Actually, we'll worry about it pretty soon because that's where I'm going to start, is with the 1.32 to 3.2 megahertz. And you can see you adjust the both of the bands from here, and then this is the RF adjustment. Anyhow, so we're going to we'll try the first band. And I'm not going to feed the signal directly in there. I don't want to overpower it. So I just kind of have a loop made up off of my oscillator that I'll just kind of leave back here. I'll leave it hanging over here like that. How's that? All right, I have it set at 10 millivolts peak to peak at 1.32. So I have to get to that on the scale. .32 to 3.2. So that's going to be this setting right here, and that's going to be, it's got to be on 200. Get those off. On receive, the filters, everything's off. Let's go up to, that's set right on 200. This got to go to, what's the first band we get? Oddly enough, the first band we get is 54, but that's not what it's telling us. We're going to go to 1.32 first. So I'm going to turn my output on my meter. I'm even going to put a little bit of AC, a little bit of a tone with it. So let's modulate with 400, because that's bearable. And frequency is 400. Kind of hard to show you things because this thing's so big and in the way, it's so hard to move. Okay, so we have that. I'm just going to rock the give a little bit more output. With 100 millivolts. And I'll turn the modulation on again. Alright, there it is. Yeah, adjust the inductor for the low, and that's where we're at. Now, this screwdriver is a metal screwdriver, and it's not going to have any effect because I'm not reaching into a can. I'm way out here. Boy, that's too big. That's a different tool. Now I have the frequency knob to where I can hear it best, and it's only about a quarter-inch away. But I just want to make sure this is what I'm doing is going to actually change this. which it does. So I'm going to move this to the exactly 1.32. And there we go. So it wasn't really that far off, but something worth changing. So let's take a look and see if we can see this on a voltmeter. It's the meter right here that I'm working with. And that light might be blinding you a little bit. So I'm going back over to this and we're going to look for a peak on that. And all this is really doing is aligning the gauge, what do you call it, the dial. Okay. So now we're going to go to the other end of the band, 3.2. So turn the tone off. And we go to frequency 3.2 megahertz. And now I'm going to run clear up to the other end. Oops. This ends off probably just about as much. So it's probably more like the dial from when I moved the radio. So in this one, the capacitor should take care of that. I wonder if I have a non-conductive device to put on that. That's as close as we get with that. That's just on the antenna alignment, but you can see that works. So let's see. Next thing we're going to have to try is 3 megahertz, and we're going to adjust the RF oscillator. So, let's set the dial to 3. It is 3 exactly. And we're going to set this generator to 3. Turn off and on. Let me set this to zeros. There's 3. Oh, that's right on. Okay. So at that point we set this capacitor right here. Wow. I turned on the volume, it'll turn my meter down as well. Alright, that's our peak there. Let me turn the meter back up so I can... Alright, that one's done. So now I go to 1.4. And at that point we're going to adjust the capacitor and the antenna. So now we go to 1.4. 2. 1.4. This guy got to go to 1.4. So let's set frequency mod off. Frequency is 1.4 megahertz. Mod's right on. So we'll peak that, which is going to be that. That was pretty close to being on. And then at the 1.4 we go to this right here. Well, that's really coming out a lot. A lot. I'm going to have to look further into this because we're 1.4 and that's where it's pointing. I almost wonder if this is one of those that I'm going to hit if I go back in. I'll get another spot where it comes back out because it doesn't feel like it. I don't think it doesn't tell me that I have to terminate this anywhere with a certain resistance either, though. All right, so the best thing I could come up with is to feed the frequency or the function generator directly into the antenna line, and I have it at 2 millivolts peak to peak. That's as low as that goes. The other thing I was going to try is it says this radio has a 400 ohm impedance.
So I was going to just throw a 400 ohm resistor across it, but we'll see if this works a little bit. I have a signal coming in, as you can probably hear, and we'll see what happens now. I just don't want to have to pull it out anymore. So, so we're looking at my meter back here. I'm going to go, that's probably a better choice. All right, let's see. I'm winding it in now, and it's actually getting better winding in. Okay, so we're going to go with that. And the only place I found that information was on the HQ-140. Turning the volume down to keep the meter where I could use it. Turn the volume down. All right. That's the peak right there. All right, so now we can do the other one as well. And it's going to be at 0.6 megacycles, which is 600 kilohertz. Let's turn that off. And we'll go to 0.6 megahertz. And I will set this at 0.6. Be right around here somewhere. Let's turn the mod on. There we go. Oh, that's like right on. All right. And that's this guy. Okay, got it. All right, I'm just going to zoom through the rest of them. You saw me do the first 2.5, so there won't be any antenna to set on the rest of them.
We want to set the capacitor for 1.5.
So it looks a little out of sequence here, but I actually did all the RF and oscillator alignments before I went back and did the antenna adjustment. I just wanted to put that in there and show the difference while it was still fresh in my mind there. So this is just carrying on with the rest of the alignment here.
There we go. Next one will done. It's going to be 0.6.
I'll turn this back on if anything exciting happens. Well, there's Grout keeping an eye on things, and there's me kicking the radio. So it's all back together, and the only stone left unturned I want to look at is the BFO tube to see about that high voltage, but it really seems to vary depending on what meter I'm using at the time. Hello, Grout. How are you? He just loves to come down when something's getting worked on. If you move, hi, how are you? Okay. Well, you won't be able to move that. Thank you. Keep moving. Okay. My method for adjusting the BFO on this, because I couldn't find a lot of information for adjusting the BFO. So what I did was, hi, how are you? I just put a 455 signal and hang on. I'll see if I can simulate that. But I just basically set the VFO. I put the beat oscillator, turned the BFO on, and I set the BFO right at about 450. Actually, I set it at 453.2, which that was what we kind of figured was the center frequency of the crystal. And I'll see if I can simulate setting. Probably, you please stop knocking things over. I don't know why you do this, right? You don't normally do this. What are you eating? They're down here all day long by themselves, and they don't mess with anything. Of course, every now and then Tang will bring something upstairs for me. Stop. Find something else to do. Anyhow, I'm pumping it through. I have an old Heathkit speaker I had laying around. I just threw it on there. And I'm running through my 80-meter antenna. So we'll take a look here and see how things sound. But I won't spend a lot of time. That gets kind of boring for everybody to, I know the sheer excitement of me voltage testing can't be seconded by the sheer excitement of listening to a radio station. So let me get that all ready. Oh, so I want to show you what I did for the BFO. So what I used a couple different methods. In this one here, I have my RTL SDR and just something to act as an antenna. And I just kind of drop it in here somewhat near the BFO. Try not to burn anything on the tubes. Let's see, and then let's take you over to the SDR, and on the very side of this can right here, I can get a picture of that. There's an adjustment, and fortunately for my condition, it's actually, I can reach in here and adjust it by hand. Now, if yours is tighter, you may have to you can slide it back out of the case, which is no big deal, or probably fit something like a thin washer in there and turn it. It's not super tight, at least it shouldn't be. Okay, so in order to adjust the BFO, the only thing I can figure, putting together everything that I've read, this guy right here is the BFO can, and on the side here, if you reach right down, see my fingers are reaching right down here, there's a little screw that sticks through. It's the adjuster. We can look at that. Let me see. All right, I'm guessing this will be coil L30 down here on the side. In my case, it's very easy. I can reach my hands down here and actually turn it quite easily without any tools. But as I said before, you may need to pop your front cover screws off and pull it out enough to get to that. My method for tuning this is going to be as follows. I'm going to use the SDR, the software-defined radio, and I'm going to zero beat it at what I set the crystal. Remember, we set the IF frequency the same as we found the crystal to be, which was 453.2 kilohertz. So since this has an adjuster, and it starts with 0, 1, 2, 3 one way and 0, 1, 2, 3 the other way, I am going to make 0, 0 beat. And what that means is it's going to be pretty much the same as what the IF is. And then turn it a little bit right or left, we'll move that signal right or left. So let's see how that works. And I'm going to show you that. I'm going to bring up the software SDR, and I kind of just eyeballed it before, or earballed it, so to speak, and I think I got it pretty close. So let me see if I can get the SDR up here. There it is. Okay. And I'm going to reach my hand down in here like I showed you before. Have this front set at exactly 0. I'm going to turn this knob a little bit till I get that right center lined up. Alright. When I turn the BFO off, back on, off. Alright, so think now we should try it and see how a signal sounds going into it. Oh, there's a sidebander already. Well, I'll turn the BFO on.
You got New Zealand on voice or on digital? Wow, that is great. I think I'm going to go there after this. That seems like fun. Okay. We are up to Pam.
8YSF and stand by Tom and 8ERV.
All right. Seems to me to work pretty good. Let's see if we can find some code.
I don't hear the upper side, man. Sometimes that thing's clean too, and he's crushing me too, and I don't hear you either way.
Boy, that sounds a lot better.
And I'm at least 30 over, right? Yep.
Okay. Down to
You were
code.
hitting 40 over here, at least 40 over.
Yeah, whenever you go to try and tune somebody in on sideband, they resort to one-word transmissions. That was AM. Now that's the Canadian time. Let's see if I can find us somebody. Okay, that's BFO on, BFO off. Okay, so I think we're pretty happy with the BFO and that adjustment. I'm not sure if that's really the correct way, but it's my way and it works. So that's the best I could find. Like I said, the book doesn't really call out any way to adjust that. I know typically if you don't have the oscillator capacitor adjustment up here, you would go just a little bit off frequency, whether above or below, maybe 500 hertz or something, and that would be fine. But I'm just kind of guessing with this one. Okay.
We found a way to kind of turn it over and make a few plays for us. So really, it's just for us. We're proving to ourselves that. Undefeated team.
Without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing that of the super power mop.
एक और गुजारा इस लड़ाई जड़ी जो कुछ उससे वापरे गाजा पट्टी चोरे खिलाफ है जो लड़न दी करन दे गुजारे करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं इसलिए बीच में होया हो दूसरे
Okay, well, the AM stations are starting to come in now, so we can listen to that a little bit. But I think we're about ready to wrap this project up. It's been on the bench long enough, it's big enough, it's gotten a lot of new caps, a lot of new resistors, a lot of new parts, and I'm not going to do any painting on it, and I'm not going to polish the case or anything, but it seems to work pretty good, and was a learning experience. So thanks for watching. Take care.